Do you have a whiskey lover in your life that maybe wants to buy a gift for you?
I
Or
do.
are you a whiskey lover who needs to inform your friends and family how to avoid buying you a bad gift?
Bingo.
Right?
Yep.
Well, you're in luck because this is the 2023 Bourbon Real Talk,
The annual
holiday gift-giving guide. Woo! To the window, to the wall, or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then
We
after
can't
that,
say
it
the
gets
rest of that
weird.
song,
It gets
yeah.
weird. We'd have to edit it out.
All right.
So,
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Yes.
The holiday season is upon us.
It is. And
It's still 100 degrees.
and speaking of, it's true.
Yeah.
You know, because there's nothing like a hot summer Texas followed by a hot summer fall. But
Yes.
regardless,
Ooh.
we're talking about generosity.
Yeah.
You know
it's
who's
the gift of it's the spirit of giving.
You know
It's
who's
in the
super
air.
generous?
Me?
Our patrons.
Yes, they are. Yeah, it's true.
We should thank them.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for your generosity over the years, guys. You have been the MVP of keeping this show on the road and running efficiently, guys. We couldn't do it without you. We have only just a couple opportunities of revenue to keep supporting the show. One of them is our online store, so if you haven't checked that out, we'll probably talk a little bit about that in this episode. Some good holiday gift-giving ideas there, but the Patreon is where it's at. That's where our faithful supporters hang out, and we can't thank you enough. We want to give back to you since it is the spirit of giving, but we want to give back to you all year round in the form of bonus content and special offers, distillery takeovers, barrel picks, which are super fun, in-person meetups, virtual monthly bottle shares. That's a tough thing to say together.
Yeah, sometimes they
English
run
is
together.
hard. Yeah.
English is hard.
So yeah, we want you guys to feel appreciated. Just how we feel the love from you, we hope you feel that in return. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go to the link in the description below and check out the Patreon, see if anything there for you. But if not, we just appreciate you tuning in today.
Amen. All right, let's get to some disclaimers. So the first off, we need to let everybody know that Wes and I both sell whiskey-related merchandise.
We sure do.
But I do want to say that even though we both have merch sites, this episode's not intended to just be a giant commercial for us.
Sure.
So we're going to share some general information. You also need to know this information was crowdsourced from Bourbon Real Talk community. And so all of these ideas did not come from us.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a conglomeration of a lot of whiskey lovers.
And the other thing you need to know is that there are going to be some plugs for our merch because, Wes, do you make things that you don't think are cool?
Not usually.
You usually make the stuff you think is awesome.
I think they're cool at least.
I only make the stuff I think is awesome.
Right.
And since I think it's awesome, if I'm telling you what you might want to buy, some of my stuff's going to come into the conversation.
Sure,
so just keep
absolutely.
that in mind.
Sure.
All right. So as we crowdsource this information, it broke down into different categories.
Okay. Let's hear
Okay.
it.
The first category is glassware.
Okay, that's key.
That is key. And so we had people that were like, for the love of God, do not buy me any more glasses. And then we had other people that were like, I'd really like to buy a new set of the Bourbon Real Talk glasses
Yeah, the new
because they're a
ones.
different shape or whatever, right? And so we have some general rules for you as a gift giver. Okay, and the first thing you need to ask yourself is what?
How does your whiskey lover enjoy drinking their whiskey?
Right.
Do they drink it in a rocks glass? Do they drink it in a nosing glass or one of the official BRT glasses? Do they prefer, in a tumbler with ice? Or there's so many different ways to drink your whiskey. So that is all how you decide what glassware is appropriate.
Right. And so if you've got somebody who only drinks cocktails, don't buy them one of these glasses.
Sure.
They're not going to use it. They're going to try and put ice in it and break it, right? And so you also have to consider what they already have. And so I typically, I only drink out of my glasses now because I had them custom made. But
Sure.
I, historically drink out of Glencairns. But did I need more Glencairns at Christmas? No, because
Sure.
I have so many that I have to give them away, right?
Speaking of customization, what's really cool is if they drink out of a rocks glass, okay? They do drink their whiskey on ice or cocktails. It's really cool. You can get them customized these days, almost anywhere. They do the laser engraving. They can etch it in the glass, put their initials in it. Really cool. I got that as a gift one year. Some custom rocks glasses with a decanter set, all customized with my own brand on it, and it was really cool.
Yeah, customization is a really cool way to make something special.
Yeah.
And that might be an instance where they already have a lot of what they need, but they're excited to have something with their own personal branding on it, and you can still make that happen. Next category would be Bourbon Experiences.
Ooh, I love a good bourbon experience.
Yeah, and there were a lot of people that were like, look, don't try to buy me whiskey because you're not going to find anything that I don't already have. But it might be nice to go visit a distillery. And if you look around, typically there's a local distillery around.
Right.
And they may not be like the epic, releasing things that everybody's, searching for. Mm-hmm. But have you ever gone to a distillery and not had a good time?
No. I mean, free whiskey, first of all.
Right.
It's always fun. Always a good time. But also, every time I go, I think I know the whole process. I know how every time I go to a distillery, I pick up a little bit new little tidbit of information that I didn't know before. And so it's educational. It's fun. You're hanging out with, sometimes owners of the brand. If you go to like kind of craft distilleries, you can meet some really interesting people there who are a part of really making that whiskey what it is. But nevertheless, you're going to learn something, and you're going to have, again, free whiskey.
Good time. Bourbon Trail in Kentucky or Tennessee. They don't call it bourbon there. They call it Tennessee whiskey, but whatever. Both of those are excellent trips. A little bit more expensive, larger commitment.
Sure.
But that's an excellent gift for a whiskey lover. And then tastings. I see all the time advertisements for, whiskey tastings, whether it be, put on by a distillery or there are third-party companies that do tastings that are meant to be educational, help you develop your palate. And you could search for something like that. And have you ever been to like a whiskey dinner?
Where they're doing pairings and different things like that?
Yeah. Where there's like flights that go with the food and whatnot.
We were just talking about that earlier, about pairing whiskey. And that's sometimes a lot of whiskey lovers don't really know how to pair whiskey with food, and so that's a great idea.
How about cocktail classes?
You know what? I've personally, honey, if you're watching this, I would love to do a cocktail class. While I think I can make a really damn good old-fashioned, I'm sure there's some guys out there that can top it, and I love learning new ways to make different cocktails, because here's what happens in the whiskey lover's life. They find that one cocktail and they just make it over and over again because they know they're going to like it.
Right.
And so I find myself looking online for new bourbon cocktail recipes all the time, especially when it's hot and you want something more refreshing. And it'd just be nice to kind of go to a class where you can learn that variety and kind of impress your friends and family when they come over with a cool drink.
Yeah, and it honestly, it's a great way to get a significant other involved, because while they may not like straight whiskey, a well-crafted cocktail is usually able to be enjoyed by pretty much anybody.
I knew I was a bigger Bourbon Real Talk fan than you.
How do you know that?
Well, because I don't just use a prideful goat, Glenn. I got an official Bourbon Real Talk tumbler.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I got this Bourbon Real Talk lanyard to carry my whiskey glass in.
Oh, well, speaking of whiskey glasses, do you have one of these?
No, I don't.
Rocks glass.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, official.
Well, I love my wife, and I bought her this official Whiskey Wife flask from Bourbon Real Talk.
Well, that's cute and everything, but I got my wife one of these.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well,
You can just add your own liquor, and it's an actual cocktail right there in a jar.
Me and my wife like to make cocktails, so we got this simple syrup off the
Oh,
website.
do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you and your wife have one of these? This is an official sticker. You can only get these on the website.
No, but I do have these official coasters that have the Bourbon Real Talk logo on them, and I'm representing.
Well, while you're representing those little coasters of yours, I've got an aroma kit.
Do you?
Yeah, so I can smell literally everything in bourbon. Everything.
Well, I don't have that, but I do have this sample box that I keep all my samples in, because I'm part of the community and I share samples.
Yeah, but do you have Glen toppers that are officially Bourbon Real Talk?
I don't have that, but I do have this large whiskey carrying case for my glasses so that I don't break them.
See, I knew you had that. That's why I have the smaller version, okay? It packs more easily into your suitcase. Don't have to mess with that big old thing, okay?
Suitcase, that's for lamos. Check this thing out. I have a Bourbon Real Talk bottle carrying bag. You can't beat that.
I don't know if I can because...
And on top of that, I have a Bourbon Real Talk t-shirt. I'm the bigger fan.
Oh, I can beat that. Is it extra schmedium?
No, I don't have an extra medium.
Ha! Extra schmedium.
You might be the bigger fan. You win.
I knew it.
So whether you're a Bourbon Real Talk superfan or simply looking for quality whiskey swag, head over to bourbonrealtalk.com today.
That wraps up experiences.
Sure. What's next? What's the next category?
Well, special bottles.
Ooh. I have a story about this.
Okay. All right. Let's hear it.
Well, I mean, you played a major part in this story, but back last summer here, or this previous summer, I turned the big 4-0.
Big 4-0.
And my wife, way back in the fall before, was already thinking, I want to get Wes this specific bottle. It was the Old Forester birthday bourbon. She heard me talk about it all the time. And so, bless her heart, she reaches out to Randy. She's like, Randy, I need to find this bottle. Like, he's just going to point her to a store where it's at, you know, like, oh yeah, you just want to go over here. They got that.
Imagine being me, right? Because I love Wes and I want him to get what he wants on his 40th birthday. But his wife doesn't know. It's like, hey, have you seen any unicorns running around that we could just capture? You know?
Yeah, no big deal.
No big deal. Do you know where there's a unicorn? I'd love to get one. And so I'm like, well, I'll do the best that I can, you know?
But thank the Lord that he intervened. He set up and orchestrated
It was divine intervention.
It was, because the way this story worked out, Lindsay, Randy's wife, just gets a random call from a local liquor store. Hey, you've been chosen this year to pick a bottle. And she's thinking, okay, great, another Blanton's or something, ale rare.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, here's our options, this, and Old Forester birthday bourbon. And she's like, what?
Yeah.
And
I'm listening, and I'm like, you have to...
you have to get that bottle.
She's like, which one should I get? And I was like, there's no choice. You have to get the birthday bourbon.
So I'm forever indebted to the Sullivan family, and that is, my wife going out there and just putting it out there to find a unicorn, and it came her way. And so that is something that is a great way if you have a husband or a wife or a significant other who loves bourbon. They've got all the bottles, and you want to find them something special. Really use your network of their friends or their acquaintances that they have through whiskey clubs or whatever kind of hangout circles they run around in, and start putting those questions out. But here's the key: do it early.
Do it early, and also the odds of you getting a rare bottle for a significant other without paying like a black market price, really super low.
Right. Really
super low. And so, but you can get somebody something special just by getting a single barrel.
Yeah, store picks and stuff. As an experienced whiskey lover or whiskey journeyman, if you will, someone who's been walking down the path for a little while, you start to kind of lose those special bottles. Kind of lose their lackluster look after a while, and you start looking for things that are really hard to find and unique in different ways than just allocated. Single barrels and store picks are a great way to do that.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, most distilleries have travel exclusive items that only get sold in duty-free shops. They get sold overseas. So if you or somebody that travels often, they can pick something up like a Wild Turkey Rare Breed non-chill filter that's a travel exclusive or something like that. But that might be a good option to get somebody a bottle, since rare is probably not the way to go.
Yeah.
And I would also say, in our feedback, we were very specifically told, do not go in and buy what the clerk says is good.
Sure. Yeah. The last thing you want to do on this list, if you're trying to find a special bottle for your significant other, is to go into a big box store and say, my husband or my wife is a big whiskey fan. They've got all these fancy bottles. What do you recommend?
You know what you're going to buy? Chestnut Farms.
Chestnut Farms.
That's what you're going to end up buying. It's Chestnut Farms.
Or Calumet.
Right, because there are whiskeys out there that they are literally designed to sell to the person that walks in and sells them.
Right, yeah.
So keep
it's
that
incentives
in mind.
For them to sell those, and it's not a special bottle that your friend is looking for.
Yeah, your friend's going to be like, oh, thanks so much. So, yeah, if you don't know what it is, don't get it. Now, for those that don't want to buy whiskey, because whiskey is a hard gift to come by, we had another category. We're going to call it drinking on the go. Legally. Yeah, yes. Not drinking while you're driving.
Right.
No,
not
we don't
in the
condone
motor vehicle.
That. But bottle bags, was one of the things that came up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And now that we have the
three bottle bag
compartments,
and
the big travel bag,
the 6,
you've got the travel cases for your glassware. I mean, really, you can get hooked up for a good traveling whiskey guy or girl who is on the go a lot. They travel, whatever, for work or pleasure, and they love whiskey, love taking it with them, so they have what they want on their trip. That's a great option.
Yeah, so on the Bourbon Real Talk website, we have bags that are specifically designed to carry bottles while you're traveling, if you're going to a bottle share or whatever. We also have travel cases designed to keep your glasses from breaking in transit. They do fit all the standard size Glencairn glasses. They also fit our custom-made whiskey tasting glasses.
Not Glencairn gases.
These are absolutely not associated with Glencairn in any way, shape, or form.
Not at all.
I don't want to get another cease and desist. And just under here...
Aged in ore?
Aged in ore. This is like one of my favorite
Yes,
travel
me too.
things. Aged in ore has some great products, and this is something, the travel case, it comes with these 3-ounce sample bottles and wax pins so that you can write on the glass to say what it is that you got. This is one of my favorite things. I use this extensively, and so that's another thing that you might want to consider. Aged in Ore's got some glass sets that also have sample bottles that fit inside the container and keep everything from getting broken. So drinking on the go, that's a good category.
Met some friends in Vegas not too long ago, and he's a big whiskey head too. So I loaded up my Aged in Ore kit with all my bottles that he hadn't tried yet, and he loaded up his with stuff I hadn't tried, and we kind of hung out there, and we had stuff to sip on the whole weekend we were there. So
nice. Next category was palate development. This is for individuals that want to learn how to break down whiskey.
Sure.
And number 1 on the list was the Bourbon Real Talk Aroma Kit, which we've got one of those right here. It's got 36 curated scents in it that you can use to develop your palate. But that's not the only way. There are classes out there. Have you heard of the Bourbon Steward class?
I think I've heard of it. I don't know that I've looked into it, though.
Yeah, so that might be something fun. If you've got like a whiskey nerd in your life, you go look for a Bourbon Steward class. Kind of similar to, doing one of the tasting classes out there. But Bourbon Steward classes are very specifically designed, and there's all kinds of classes out there. Nancy Fraley used to teach a class called Nosing for Faults and whatnot.
Yep.
You could buy somebody an opportunity to attend something like that. That would be really cool.
Sure.
And the next category, we're going to call this Whiskey Stones and Rocks. Okay?
Okay.
And this is a favorite gift.
Yes, it is.
For friends and family.
I don't know how many bags of Whiskey Stones I have in my freezer, but it's a lot.
It's a lot. And how often do you use them?
I've not ever used them.
Never.
Except the first time, and I realized they don't really do anything to chill your whiskey.
And you know what else they do? They scratch the bottom of your glass.
Yeah.
It's what they do. They actually damage your glass. So Whiskey Stones, almost always a no. If you're thinking about like, oh, I know somebody that loves whiskey. Oh, look at this. I can get Whiskey Stones. I can have their initials put on it. Just almost always a no. With this one exception, and that is if you know somebody who always drinks their whiskey neat, and that means it's not mixed and it's not on ice, but they always chill their whiskey. That individual might appreciate Whiskey Stones because it means they like their whiskey cold. The Stones will keep it colder for longer without diluting it the way that ice does.
And of course, if you know someone who uses Whiskey Stones in the first place, maybe the custom ones is a way to go.
Yeah.
But for someone who doesn't drink their whiskey chilled, has never drank their whiskey with Whiskey Stones or any kind of, even with ice,
it's not a good gift.
Yeah, it's not a great gift.
It's not going to get used. Okay. Next category, decanters.
Okay, I like decanters.
Okay. So the thing with decanters is that most people only need one.
Sure.
So number 1, you got to find out whether or not they have one.
Okay.
And what I use, my Lindsay got me a decanter one year. I was very grateful for it. It's beautiful. And I use it for my infinity pour.
Okay. I will say there's an exception for this. There's an opportunity that you can be a 2 decanter kind of person.
Okay.
Okay. And I am a 2 decanter kind of person.
All right. Let's hear it.
Actually, I'm a 3 decanter kind of person.
All
One
right.
if it's shaped like a gun.
Okay.
So I have one of those. Gotta have a gun just hanging out with whiskey in it.
Yeah. I've seen it. It's pretty dope.
It's awesome. So, second, these are really the 2 ones that are important, is 1, the infinity guy that wants to have his own infinity decanter filled with all these random different kinds of whiskeys in there.
Right.
And 2, the guy who just likes the look of his everyday sipper in the decanter.
Yeah.
So my affinity is out in my whiskey room, but my everyday Knob Creek stays in the decanter in my living room.
Look
and
at
so,
you, fancy pants.
Yeah, and it just
You
looks
put
cool.
Knob Creek 9 here in a decanter?
Oh yeah, dude. I buy the giant ones and I just fill it up every time it gets low.
Oh, man.
And then my friends come over, I just pour the decanter like I'm on Yellowstone, the TV show, and I just put my cowboy hat on. I'm like, welcome to the South.
Hells to the yeah, bro.
Yeah, welcome to Irish
Very
Ranch.
excited about that. I bet.
So yeah, that's what I would say is the only opportunity to use a second one, unless it's shaped like a gun, of course.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one is pretty cool.
chugging, that's the only time I would ever chug whiskey is if it's out of a gun decanter as well.
Okay.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I don't condone that.
That's a side thing.
Yeah, it's
it
like
has nothing to do with holiday shopping at all.
we went off the rails, but that's okay. It happens. All right, now next category: cocktail stuff.
Okay, yeah, cocktail stuff.
Yeah, just stuff in general.
What? Like what?
Well, first off, this category is for people who drink cocktails,
I
right?
drink cocktails.
So don't buy like a cocktail mixing kit for somebody who only drinks whiskey neat, right? You gotta keep that in mind.
Okay.
And you kind of gotta know what they already have, because people that are into cocktails probably have the cool spoon that's got the spinny, like long thing on it that when you slide your finger down, it spins and it helps mix the cocktail. And they probably got the shakers and all that. But one person said, like, I want to get into cocktails, but I don't have, like, a kit. I need a kit that's got all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so...
Like the ingredients?
No.
Or
it's like
the bar
the accoutrement, right? Like, you got to have a...
Exactly.
You have to have a shaker. You have to have a jigger that measures the different amounts of alcohol. Because some cocktails call for a half ounce of this and 3/4 ounce of that and this and that. So you got to have the measuring equipment. You have to have a muddler. You have to have the shaker. You have to have the strainer. Those are cool things.
Yep.
Also in that category would probably be like smokers.
Okay. Whiskey smokers. I do enjoy a whiskey smoker as well.
Because some people like to have a smoked cocktail, but if you don't ever drink cocktails, you're not into old fashions or whatever. You get somebody who doesn't drink old fashions, a smoker, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, thanks." You know what I mean? Now we're gonna talk about clothing.
That's the next category, and that's one of my favorite categories.
Yes, clothing is we're both big on clothing. Right?
I love a good whiskey shirt.
Yeah.
So there's lots of brands out there that do it really well. Of course, the BRT site is a great place to go pick up some clothing.
We have T-shirts, but Wes has a T-shirt company
I've got some T-shirts called Whiskey Thread, whiskeythread.com.
Whiskey Thread.
And you could go there.
Not Threads.
Not Threads. That's a different
site.
That's
a different site. That's somebody else.
I don't know who that is, but...
He's cool. I talked to him, but...
Okay, he's cool?
Yeah, he's not as cool as Wes.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah.
I'll tell you that
obviously,
right now.
Obviously.
You guys are always getting in the comments and saying, like, Wes has the coolest T-shirts. And I'm like, go to Whiskey Thread.
Go get them, right?
You can just go buy them.
Bourbon Gangster.
Yeah, Bourbon Gangster's one. Whiskey Trolls Suck, I think, is one.
Whiskey Trolls Suck is another one. Lots of good ones on the site, so go check that out.
Yeah.
Got some new ones coming.
You can also get your loved one their favorite brand. There's tons of... Every brand has hoodies and polos and all that stuff. And then the next category, which we can all get down with.
Oh, yeah. Whiskey branded, infused, flavored foods.
Foods, yeah. Whiskey foods. So you kind of got two categories there. You got bourbon infused treats. Mm-hmm. And so...
There's a lot of good bourbon infused chocolates out there.
Tons of them.
Love it.
Yelly. Yelly's Chocolates. They do a lot of whiskey infused things. And then there's food items that are designed to be paired with bourbon as well.
Right.
So what's a thing in Kentucky? Bourbon balls, is that a thing? Bourbon balls are kind of a popular
awesome.
thing, and they're I think they're infused, but they're designed to be eaten with bourbon and whatnot. So I mean, like as long as the person doesn't hate sweets, which is pretty rare,
right?
You could probably get some bourbon infused treat or whatever that goes along with things. Mm-hmm. So that wraps up our holiday gift giving guide.
What a good one.
It was a good one. Hopefully it's helpful.
It was lengthy, but...
A little bit. We apologize about that, but we can get a little long-winded.
Yeah, we get excited about
We get
gifts,
excited.
And this time of year, man, there's just a lot of excitement in the air.
A lot of excitement in the air. So let's talk about the show
whiskey.
Philosophy for these
That's
people.
a good idea. Let's wrap
Because
it up.
I suspect there's a bunch of people that are watching this that aren't normal viewers. And what you need to know...
We are normally this weird. That's the first thing you need to know.
Yes, we're for entertainment purposes only, right?
We're trained professionals.
We're trained. So. Yeah. Don't try this at home. I don't know what happens then. No. But anyways, we want you to know we're about bringing people together around bourbon, and that is a very serious, philosophy of this channel because I did lose a loved one to suicide in 2014, and in the aftermath of that, I learned that he had lost some of his social connections from the world around him, and I wanted to find a way to help people feel that connection. And I saw how whiskey was bringing people together. And it made me think that maybe if I could get you connected to whiskey would do the rest of the job and get you connected to others. And I'd have to say that it's working.
Yeah.
Because when you're trying to get people connected, you do have to have some sort of a forum, and we looked into forums, but Wes in his infinite wisdom eventually convinced me to start a forum that's specifically for this channel. It's called Bourbon Real Talk Community, and it's working.
It's awesome.
We really do have real connections going on in there. It's absolutely free. It can be found on Facebook. But while we were doing that research, we did see a lot of the negative side of the internet, and there is a lot of negativity and trolls out there. And they taught us that, one, we need a Bourbon Real Talk community, but two, if someone can hate you online, there's nothing that keeps us from loving you online. And that's why we end every show the same way, and that's this. If you woke up this morning and you're unsure whether or not anyone loved you, just know that we love you. We'll see you next time on Bourbon Real Talk.